Echoes of the Past, a history podcast. Before science, there were seers, and long before history was written, it was foretold. Across ancient civilizations, prophecies weren't just predictions, they were warnings, often ignored until it was too late. So here are 5 prophecies from the ancient world that came true. Number 5, the Oracle of Delphi. In the archaic period of Greece, there was no greater seer than the Oracle of Delphi. Her prophetic pronouncements weren't delivered by a soothsayer reading entrails or a palm reader checking lines. No, these prophecies were given through the Pythia, a woman who would go into a trance, channeling the will of Apollo to reveal fates hidden yet to come. Some oracles were cryptic, some were clear, but they all carried weight. If a lord or lady had questions about marriage or war, they'd travel to Delphi to ask them. And Apollo would answer in riddles and rhymes. But sometimes the messages were simple and blunt. When Croesus, the king of Lydia, asked about a planned war against Persia, he received a single, "Beware the reply." Though he thought he was prepared, his army was crushed and Lydia fell. Centuries later, another warning was delivered. The once invincible Roman Empire would be brought down from within. Of course, Romans took this prophecy seriously and blamed it on Greece. They weren't wrong, but it was Greece's Sibyl who delivered the message. The exact words, "Fire from the south shall consume the whole Roman province," were echoed by the Cimmerian Sibyl, the Gaul, the Druidess, and many others across the Mediterranean. The truth is, there were multiple oracles with the same message because it wasn't really a prediction. It was an observation based on the decline of morals, institutions, and even architecture. The Romans had been warned, but ultimately ignored the signs and embraced the flame. Number 4, the fall of Babylon. The fall of any kingdom is sudden. One day it stands tall and proud, the next day it's toppled. But the kingdoms of the ancient world were never taken lightly, so their collapses were usually foreshadowed. And nowhere was this clearer than in the book of Daniel. This Old Testament book has multiple prophecies that have already come true, like the destruction of the city of Tyre. But few are as famous as the visions of Babylon. As the prophet describes it, the walls of Babylon will crumble, and the very foundations will be destroyed. Already the soil of the ancient city is under a modern sea. Many assumed this was just symbolic language, but they were wrong. Literally overnight, the mighty walls crumbled. Cyrus the Persian king, not yet Cyrus the Great, arrived and demanded the gates be opened. But when King Belshazzar refused, Cyrus sacked the city and destroyed it. Sure, centuries passed before the walls literally fell into the ground, but that didn't make this any less of a prophecy. Belshazzar learned the hard way that no empire is safe, not even those built on sand. No. 3, the Mayan calendar. There's one thing you can always count on: doomsday prophets. Just look at the attention certain pastors and preachers get when they predict the end of the world. But sometimes doomsday is real, and that's what makes the collapse of the Maya so interesting. While we don't have a ton of information about them, the Maya left behind an incredible legacy of calendar systems. In fact, their long count calendar counted the days in an impressive sequence of numbers. Their calendar system even included the Gregorian calendar we use today. So when December 21st, 2012 rolled around, it was supposedly the end of the world. Or at least that's what some people said. How did they get that idea? Well, the date marked the end of a cycle on the long count calendar, Baktun, which supposedly meant the end of the world. After all, it was the 13th Baktun since the creation of the current epoch, and 13 is an unlucky number. Plus, the Maya had predicted natural disasters like droughts and earthquakes, so everyone waited, and when nothing happened, everyone was disappointed. Or maybe it was just one big misunderstanding. You see, the Maya didn't actually predict anything, they just kept track of time cycles. But while that's not quite as dramatic, it doesn't make the long count calendar any less impressive. Number 2, the Roman Sibylline books. The Sibylline books were basically Rome's own Book of the Dead. For centuries, people in the city of Rome sacrificed to obscure gods with obscure names. But as the empire grew, so did its pantheon. Eventually, there were too many deities to keep track of, so someone collected their prophecies in the Sibylline books. It was an easy way to consult the gods without the hassle of sacrificing to each one individually. But these books also contained prophecies about the future, and the more the Roman state expanded, the more those prophecies seemed to come true. Most famously, it predicted the founding of Rome itself. According to legend, the city was founded by Romulus, who killed his twin brother Remus after the two of them were raised by a she-wolf. But in reality, Rome was probably founded much more conventionally, likely between 10 and 700 BC during the Iron Age. No fratricides or wolf parents needed. However, one of the more unsettling prophecies was about a king to come from Venus, the goddess of love. The Sibyls claimed that this king would take over the entire world, bringing Rome's enemies together and destroying the empire from within. The only problem was that they weren't wrong. Julius Caesar fits this description perfectly, being born of royalty and conquering most of Europe. He even went against the Senate, the most powerful body in Rome, and took over the government. In many ways, Caesar destroyed the Roman way of life and ushered in the Pax Romana, an era of peace where Rome ruled the known world. And it all happened exactly how the Sibyls predicted. Number 1, the dream of Pharaoh. Most biblical stories are well known, but few are as mysterious as the story of Joseph. Raised by Jacob, son of Isaac, grandson of Abraham, Joseph was destined for greatness. But his 11 brothers hated him, so they sold him into slavery. Eventually, he ended up in Egypt, where he interpreted the Pharaoh's dreams. The first dream was a warning. 7 years of famine were coming to Egypt. But the second dream was strange. The Pharaoh had no idea what it meant, so Joseph told him to bring in the wise men of Heliopolis, but they couldn't figure it out either. Finally, Joseph stepped forward and told the Pharaoh the meaning of the dream. He told the king to store grain from the 7 good years to save them for the 7 bad years to come. And then he offered to help. Impressed by Joseph's insight and ambition, the Pharaoh made him governor of Egypt. That way, Joseph could oversee the storage of grain, making sure none of it spoiled. And when the famine hit, the Egyptians were prepared. Of course, the best part of the story is that it's all a coincidence. See, the famine supposedly lasted for 7 years, but the records of the Egyptian kings say that they stored grain for 3 years, and then things got better. Not exactly what Joseph predicted, but still a happy ending. The ancient world was full of mysteries, but sometimes the greatest mystery was their own prophecies. From kings to kingdoms to everything in between, the ancient world left us with a lot to uncover. And if you want to learn more about their legacies, then subscribe for more echoes of the past. We cover all kinds of ancient discoveries, from artifacts to entire cities. Plus, we have regular episodes every Wednesday and Friday, so you'll always have something new to listen to.